I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, but I can actually see the camper and the farm way down there through the trees. But this little clearing here is a spot where I've considered moving my camper to. Um, but the only thing here is it's far off the grid. There, electricity wouldn't be coming from the line. I would have to do it some other way. But it is a nice spot back here. We'll just continue on our walk here. Kind of follow the fence line through the woods. The fence line is probably pretty close to where my property line is. I don't know if it is though. I mean, in some cases it's a good point of reference that I use, but I'll kind of sneak off into the woods here and see what we can't see. There's definitely been recent movement. There's a lot of trails going through the woods here. Me walking through this snow is loud, and I think most wildlife would hear it. None of this is from the cows. This is all deer. So they are thick back here. None of this is very fresh today. It snowed last night. That's why all these tracks are filled in, so they're not from today. Something peed there. Here's a fresh trail. This happened today. They were heading this way. Get off through here. Saw a few deer earlier, and that might have been them. Most likely long gone. Went off down that way. My guess is they've crossed into the back. I'm not going to try to track them. There's so much heavy deer activity back here. This is also another fresh track going off. But it's good to see. I like the deer. More the merrier. They don't bother me a bit. In a lot of ways, my farm is kind of an animal sanctuary in a way because I don't hunt on it. I let my cousins have permission to hunt on it, but they just kind of more or less keep an eye on it. Coming out into the hardwoods here. This is where things open up. It's possible. It's my little nature walk, you know. Come out here and it's complete relaxation. Coming down to it opens up into more pasture. It looks like my farmer buddy, my rancher buddy, fed his cattle today. I'm sure he feeds them every day, but he looks like he just fed them out here in the pasture. We'll take a walk down there and check out the cows. Oh, the snow is deep here. Just went halfway to my knee. Let's continue our walk. Just kind of zooming around at doing a 360 without looking into the sun really, but it's just kind of where we're going. Here on the farm, there's almost no cell phone signal, which for the most part, no internet, no text messages, nothing. But right up here in the woods, I did find a place that I can go, you know, stream with people. Get on Facebook Messenger and you know, do FaceTime, video chat. But it's just a small area, maybe 25 feet by 25 feet where the internet and cell phones work. So that's another area where I've definitely thought about putting my camper just for that reason and that reason alone. We'll cut through the woods here. Just so I could have service on my cell phone. But apparently I can buy an antenna. Maybe somebody here knows something about it. But an antenna that for at my camper where I'll have service inside my camper at least. Maybe even they're better than that. We'll just continue down here. We're coming down to the pasture. I'll probably check my Facebook here in a minute. Some beautiful maple trees here. But there's kind of a stand of aspens there that I really like. And right on the other side of this stand of aspens, that's where the internet works. It's where I can get cellular service. So that's in the summertime. Before I got the camper, I would camp right here. And last night at the camper, I did not have any internet or any cellular service. But you don't always need that. If you're able to get over it, you can just disconnect. I love this old ash tree here. Unfortunately, it did die. But it is a beautiful tree. Still is. I guess it'll become firewood. We'll walk up here and say hi to the cows. We won't disturb them, but we'll just kind of take a little walk by them. I think my friend, he has a tractor that just kind of grinds up a round bale and feeds them out. His cows are very well taken care of. You can see his tractor he came through this morning. There's an old farm there in the backdrop. Belongs to my cousin. We'll just walk by the cows here and say hi. I know not everybody walks past a herd of cows every day on a beautiful winter day. Hi, cows. Oh yeah, they're beautiful. Beautiful cows. This is organic, folks. This is how it's done. This is how it's been done for a long time. This land has had cattle on it a lot longer than I've been around. My family's had cattle on it. At one time, I know there was sheep. When I was a kid, my grandpa said no sheep. He said I chased enough sheep in my life. I never want to do it again. Hi, baby. So there's the cows. We'll head back here into the woods. Look back at, here's the hardwoods we came out of. Now I am going to build I want to build a lean-to roof over top of my camper, put a metal roof on it. That way the camper is kind of out of the elements. It's shaded from the sun. And it's not getting direct rain on it. And I will probably use cedar posts to build at least the frame for the roof. And I'll come down here. Most likely is where I'm gonna find the cedar posts that I'll want to cut. I mean, this isn't necessarily a prime example, but I have lots of cedar here where I can select out some nice posts. And you know, I'll probably only need maybe 8 good posts. So there's more cedar this way too. Gotta stay out. And we're working our way back now through the woods. We'll head up the hill here, and there's some more cedar, and it kind of breaks into some hardwood. There's some fresh. Oh, this was a cow. Cow came through here. That's a deer. Deer and the cow following the same track. Everything lives in harmony out here. I mean, as far as the deer and the cows and even the turkeys kind of fight with they can kind of try to maintain dominance. But it's a nice spot here in the cedars. See what I mean? There's just so many different cedar trees. I'll come in and I'll find a few that'll work. We'll use it for the cedar post for the upright poles, to build the roof over the camper. Then the camper is just a camper, you know, but it has a permanent roof over it, and I don't have to worry about the rubber roof leaking ever again, really, for that matter. It'll have a steel lean-to over it. I won't have to worry about snow load or anything like that. And this is even for if I just camp on it, you know. I will, that's a really tiny deer track. Must be a baby deer. It'll be nice to have the protection over top from the elements. And I might even frame it in on one side to kind of have some wind protection from one side. Maybe someday, you know, box it in a little bit. Who knows? I have plans of probably getting a bigger camper. There is a couple. It's almost like a series of sheds over here. It's some neighbors. I don't know them, which is fine with me. We've never really met, but I know they've had it for years. I don't really know when they're around or not, but they seem to be around fairly often, but they're very, very quiet. Like I said, we've never met. And that's actually a good thing. You know, I like my neighbors, but sometimes the best time is when you don't even know them. So we're making our way. There's some hardwoods here. Not that much, but there's some. My days of cutting trees down to heat the house with firewood are probably over with the camper life, because I plan on heating with just electric space heater. Even though I have an abundance of wood, I'll have campfires outside. You know, there's a lot of blown down stuff I can harvest. But, you know, for the most part, I'm done cutting trees off the farm. If anything, I'm going to be planting them. So, here we come back, the old barn. The barn is really amazing. Woodwork inside. I should take us inside there. Everything's put together with wooden pegs. There aren't any big spikes holding that framework together. It's huge timbers, you know, chopped down with an axe, I'm sure, or a saw, and you know, squared up with an axe. There's holes drilled through them, and there's wooden pegs hammered through the holes. And for the most part, that barn is solid for its age. He kind of seems to use it for, he has fences running off of it and stuff in different directions. And I notice, you know, if he has like a, right now he has a calf, the calf is kind of typically out of season. So it seems to be sheltered there at the barn. So the barn is still getting used. Right here as we come into the farmyard, there's an old cellar here. It's collapsed. But my grandpa's initials are carved in the cement inside of it. It says his name, and then it says, I think it's 1937, and it says his initials and name, and it says H12, where he wrote in the wet cement. So we'll come up here on the barn. I don't know how much battery my camera has left. I'm just holding it out here in the cold weather. Yeah, I love the cows. I love opening up the camper door and they're sitting there eating. Last night at some point I kicked 4 or 5 deer were right here by the camper eating with the cows. So everybody fills their belly here on the farm. If they don't, the coyotes run them down. Here we are at the, let's give you a little peek. There's a lot of old tires in there. This was a milk barn, and those pipes there were part of the milking process. But this is old. You know, the old timbers will come out around here. So, you know, when we were kids, we put a big elevator up. And it would go up to that window, which is, you know, 2 stories, more than 2 stories up. This big elevator would go up to it, and we'd put square hay bales up through that window. And there is a floor up there, and we'd stack hay all the way to the ceiling. And they did it even differently when my grandpa was a kid. But we had the electric powered elevator, or tractor powered elevator. So he's got cows in here and an electric fence. I'm not going to get too close in because I think we'll be able to get a good idea from the fence. But all that's, you know, up on the second floor is, you had the milking barn underneath, but then up on above that is where you stacked all the hay. And they had, I think, a pulley system where they'd pull the hay up from the floor and wheel it over and drop it on there and stack it to the ceiling. But we did it with square bales. But all those posts are held together with pegs. Wooden pegs. There's no... Okay, there is nails on the small ones, but the big ones up there are wooden pegs. And they're like dovetailed in there. I don't know the word for it, but it's all fit together. The metal roof. And right there is the water tank for the cattle. Well, there's a float, and when the float goes down far enough, the water kicks on, and the cows get the well starts up, and it fills the tank again. That tank doesn't really freeze in the winter, not too much. Something I'm sure he checks daily to make sure it's operating. The cows can drink a lot of water in a quick hurry. But these are old like log. They're not, I don't think they were cabins, but these are old log buildings. I mean, these are the real deal. The back of the corral, a lot of times, you know, you can back a cattle trailer up to this door. That's what we did. I'm sure he might even too. It still works to this day. I mean, the system of loading cattle. But the corral, they get them corralled in the corral here and select the cows that were going to go out in the cattle trailer. And here's the inside of the corral. That's all. I mean, that's old. That's all old logs. You know, he's got his gate still in operation today. The old chinking in between the logs. You know. When I was a kid, we had pigs in here. I'm scared to open the door. But might not even be able to get the door open. But we had a pig pen in there. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it shut. But yeah, we used to operate this. I'm not gonna worry about it today. But the roof kind of collapsed here. I don't know. I think it can be saved. I don't think I'd rebuild the original roof. But things could be done to save the structures. I mean, they're not going anywhere. And they could have their purpose still. I mean, they are 4 solid walls. Right here, this wall has kind of kicked out by the door, but it's still solid. Well, I mean, 30 years ago when we had pigs here, that's what that wall looked like. It hasn't gone. It hasn't changed. But we had a pig pen that came off the back, and it went out, you know, and it went out with the corral there. And the pigs were basically, they'd come out into their own little free range here, which they had torn right up. But that's where our pig pen is, it's gone now. But we did have an outdoor pig pen and indoor. They went inside the building too. We'd put in straw in the winter and they'd have their bedding. Everybody was happy. That was life on the farm back then. That was in the 80s and 90s. But I'm gonna head back to we'll head back to the camper through here. We'll go around this way. And we'll kind of breaking through the ice here. This area, because the cattle go to the water, the ground definitely gets torn up. A lot of it is, you know, big clobs of cow poop over the years, and then, you know, the cattle are not small. And them walking through here and through the mud, and the ground gets very uneven. So it's kind of hazardous to walk on. It's all frozen chunky right now. We'll get over here by the water tank. This water doesn't freeze. The way it's set up. I mean, they got drinking water there. I'll show you again. The float goes down. And you hear the well kick on. So when the level gets too low, and there it comes out. That water, I know it looks kind of gross, but it's really not as gross as it looks. It's very, very clean water that gets put in there. And then, you know, the cows, they come in with their slobbery mouths, so it does get a little bit green looking, but the water is actually clean, very clean. So Now the way this is set up, the reason it doesn't freeze is after the well kicks off, it all either drains out of the pipe or back down into the wellhead. I drink the water right out of that pipe many times, and I still would. It's very good water. This is the old granary, is what they called it. And I have definitely thought of turning this into a cabin. It has the cedar. A lot of them have fallen off here, but it has the cedar siding. We'll take a little peek inside. I think he might have his electric fence running here, so I'm a little careful, but there's a big pile of shingles on the floor. But there is an upstairs too, and I've been up there. But I have thought of restoring this and turning it into a tiny house log cabin. We'll just take a look. That door goes into where the pump house is. It's a mess, I know. It's farm use. There's been bags. It's an old farm too. It's not all the farmer who runs it. It's not all his mess. But yeah, there's downstairs window, upstairs window. The upstairs window on the back side has an awesome view. I'd love to have a high-powered rifle and some targets on the back 40, because it would be out that back window. It'd be great. So that's that. There's an old fallen down building here, and I am actually planning on recycling a lot of the material from this to build the lean-to to go over my camper. There is a lot of metal roofing laying around here that I think I can build the lean-to over it for pretty much nothing. Maybe you have to buy the nails. So here's the camper, and right here is a big pile of rubble that needs to be cleaned up. I'm gonna have to either have it hauled away or take care of it myself some way, maybe burn it if that's possible. I don't know, or I'll have it hauled away, but it's just a big wood pile of an old house. So all right, we'll continue to, with the old house being there, this is the old lilac bush. These are some old apple trees, and they do still grow apples. And coming down here, towards the end of the driveway is where the road is. But as you can see, I mean, this whole area I got my camper on is a very peaceful. There's some round bales for the cows. But it's a very peaceful, natural setting. So I'm going to walk back and go to the camper. Maybe we'll cook up some lunch.